Welcome to Life Esteem, a program committed to delivering information that's important to you and your community.
Again, the Life Esteem, always great to have you as a viewer. Hey, today we're going to talk with Chris Franklin, who's with the Harlem Globetrotters. Man, every time I say that, it's like, wow, this guy's a Harlem Globetrotter. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Thanks for having me.
All right, man. How long you been with the Harlem Globetrotters?
Been with them for 9 years now.
9 years?
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. And you're from Harrisburg?
Yes, this is home for me.
Fantastic, man. Fantastic.
Harrisburg is home.
Well,
graduated from Susquehanna Township?
Susquehanna Township
Yeah,
grad, that's
school.
right.
Yeah.
And you know, listen, everybody's proud of you. You do a great work. You also give back a lot to the community too, so we're going to talk about all that. Let's talk about your, getting in with the Harlem Globetrotters, how that journey took place. Pat and I heard you at the breakfast that was put on by the Nativity School, and you did a tremendous presentation. But I learned a lot about you at that school. I didn't know that, the journey that it took for you to get from point A to point B as far as getting with the Harlem Globetrotters. So tell people about that.
Well, one thing, I wanted to be a Globetrotter since I was 6 years old. Never wanted to do anything else in life, so it was my only goal. When I graduated from graduate school, I sent the Globetrotters a tape, and it didn't quite work out.
Okay.
So I had to do a number of things and pretty much persevere, and eventually became known as one of the best dribblers in the world, and the Globetrotters came looking for me.
Yeah.
So it all worked out perfect for me.
And speaking about that, best dribblers in the world, because you were connected with the &1, is that right? Or
Actually, I was with Nike.
Nike. Okay.
Yeah.
I always think they're the same, but they're not. They're not at all.
Yeah.
Okay. So talk about how that Nike came about then, because that was a big stepping stone.
Yes. Well, I was actually a replacement for the world's best dribbler contest, and I went to this contest as a replacement, and ended up not only winning the entire competition. I got a perfect score, all 10s. Nike said they wanted to do commercials. And I filmed my first commercial, which was entitled Freestyle, which was a commercial that we did all kinds of tricks with the basketball.
Yeah.
The commercial won 13 awards, including an ESPY, was voted one of Nike's best commercials of all time.
Nice.
Wow.
I ended up signing a contract with Nike, filmed maybe 5 commercials, and went all over the world with Nike. So it was just a great run. I had a chance to do a number of great things with that organization.
Then the Harlem Globetrotters came looking for you as a result of that.
Yeah, and eventually they came looking for me. So it was a dream come true, because I was able to do all of these amazing things with Nike, perform on national TV, on the MTV Music Awards with rap artist Jay-Z, and I did all these things all over the globe, and then eventually the Globetrotters came looking for me, which was my ultimate goal anyway.
Isn't
so
that
it worked out well for me.
Now, when
At 6 years, I want to ask about. He
Yeah.
said he knew at 6 years old you wanted to be a Harlem Globetrotter.
Well, I saw him on the cartoon, I saw him on Scooby-Doo, and knew I either wanted to solve mysteries or play for the Globetrotters. So I saw him on the cartoon, I picked up a ball and never put it back down.
Never put it back down. Isn't that
Wait a minute,
amazing?
though. I wanted to be a Harlem Globetrotter at the age of 6 too. That's the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I never made it, but that was huge. I mean, that's the dream for so many young people. They see a Harlem Globetrotter. Come on, of course they want to be a Harlem Globetrotter. Meadowlark Lemon back in the day.
Yeah.
Marcus Haynes, those guys were fantastic. So you had a dream, but how many actually make it though? This man made it. That's what's incredible to me.
Well, that's why it's so important to inspire others that their dreams are attainable with hard work and doing the right things.
That's right.
Mine was to become a Harlem Globetrotter, but for someone else it may be to be a doctor or NFL or NBA or whatever. So I never try to kill anyone's dreams, because I believe that all dreams are attainable.
Now you're from Harrisburg. You went to Susquehanna over there. You went to college though. And I heard you mention you got that graduate degree and everything.
Yeah.
So education was always important to you as well. You had that dream of being a Harlem Globetrotter, but you pursued some other things as well, right?
Yeah, I believe that you're supposed to shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you land amongst the stars.
Amen.
So while I was going after my goal or my dream, my ultimate dream, I always believed in getting an education. So I have a bachelor's and master's degree in social work with a concentration in community organization.
Wow.
And I always talk to kids about the importance of getting your education. People fought hard for us to have the right to get an education. I'm an advocate of education. I try to learn as much as I can still to this day. So I try to teach kids the same thing.
I was amazed that you mentioned once in one of your camps, because you had the Ultimate Spin Camp at Harrisburg Area Community College. You used to have it there. I don't know if you still hold it there or not, or
It's at Susquehanna Township Middle School now.
the middle school. Fantastic. And you know, you combine not only just the basketball skills, but you also combine some leadership and other things, you know. And I was blessed enough to be one of your speakers at least once or twice there. And then you in your introduction mentioned that you were in one of the sessions I did, I think at the Robert Lynch Student Leadership Conference. And I was like, what? You know, that kind of thing. I didn't know any of that until he said it, you know. So here you were connected to, you know, that leadership conference as a student in college, you know, doing things. So all along the way, you've been developing yourself to do exactly what you're doing now. You know, that's good stuff, man. Good stuff. And I like the fact that you incorporate the life skills, you know, and the education with the basketball.
Yeah, I think that's so key. You know, anyone can teach you how to play basketball, but I think it's so important for our kids to learn how to be successful in life. And you know, so what you do off the court is probably more important than what you do on the court. So we try to provide kids with a positive route that they can take to be successful on and off the court.
Fantastic, fantastic
Now
stuff.
you are getting ready to go to training camp.
Yeah.
You say here shortly, and in that process, you have new prospective Harlem Globetrotters that are attending for different positions, I guess. What are we doing with women? Okay, are the women being represented, Chris?
Yes, the organization stays. We have three amazing ladies on our team.
Okay.
Fantastic.
And it's been such a great thing for our organization and for women in general to show that they can do anything the guys can. So it's very great in form of empowerment. But that's something that's great our organization does.
Yeah, you know, I remember back in the day, and even recently down in Stilton, they had this big event, and they had a team from New York come down, and they were like a Harlem Globetrotters light, if you know what I mean. You know, were you there that night when they came in?
No, I didn't get a chance to attend that.
Yeah, and one guy in particular had played for the Harlem Globetrotters. He said he was actually looking for you. That's right, I remember that now.
Oh, yeah.
And he had played for the Globetrotters, whatever, and they were actually pretty good. They were pretty funny. He had a little lady there who was probably like 4'2".
Yeah.
She played college basketball, you know.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
absolutely was great, you know, could dribble like crazy and that kind of stuff. So it's just a lot of fun. Tell us about a little bit of the history of the Globetrotters. People who are not, we're just assuming everybody knows the Harlem Globetrotters. But how did they come about, and what was so significant about them, you know, back in the day?
Well, you know, they originated in 1926.
Did they? Wow.
And back then they didn't allow African American players to play in the NBA.
Right.
They actually started in Chicago, Illinois, but the name Harlem came about because our owner wanted everyone to know that we were an all-black team. They attached Globetrotters to the end to give everyone the persona that we traveled all around the globe, when in all actuality they never left the south side of Chicago back then. But you know, it's one that's rooted in history, and you know, for me, I think it just mirrors what it is to be a role model, what it is to be a person that helps bridge the gap between race, culture, ethnicity, gender. You know, I've been able to travel to 77 countries all over the globe, touching lives in a positive way. So, and that's why it's so important for me to come back to my own city and do as much as I can.
And you've done a lot too, man. You know, and you're so unassuming, man. I just admire the way you kind of carry yourself in the community. Because if I was a Harlem Globetrotter, I'm sorry, I'd be acting a fool. I'd be like, wearing my gear every day, you know, telling everybody about it. But you carry it so well, man. And you give back a lot. We were up at Reservoir Park, and they had Sean McCoy had an event, I believe it was. And you, I think, gave out, what was it? Did you give out, was it the...
Well, I gave out T-shirts, but actually, we did a 3-on-3 basketball tournament.
Right.
What we're trying to do is, in the community, is trying to fix some of the parks in the city and do our part. So we've been raising money on our own, trying to fix some of the parks in the city and make them great. We're starting at 4th and Emerald Park, and it's not just me. It's a cooperation of individuals coming together to achieve a like task. So it's a lot of organizations. Loop, Breaking the Chains, Make a Layup. even major prep, hard to guard.
Yeah.
A lot of organizations coming together to do some positive for the youth in this city. So, and that's what I was doing. And LaShawn McCoy's foundation does a number of things like that also.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's important for us to do our part. So we're excited about this playground and what it will mean for this community.
Yeah, yeah, good stuff. Yeah, I mean, really, and I lift that up because we always talk about what people aren't doing, you know, what's not happening, but we never talk about the people that are actually doing something. And I mean, the way you travel the world and everything, you can say, oh, well, you know, I don't have time now, but you make time, you come back, you do it, and you don't ask for a lot of fanfare. I mean, you just do it, you know, and I really appreciate that, man. And so, yeah, good stuff, Chris. Way to do it, man.
In playing basketball, I'm assuming that you played high school basketball.
Yeah.
On the
High
team,
school, college,
and all of that. Did it ever cross your mind, maybe the NBA at some time? Did you ever think about it?
Well, for me, I actually had one goal. It was just Harlem Globetrotters.
That was it.
That's
You
good.
know, I was drawn to it. I was a kid on the ground dribbling the basketball, and I think sports in general, I think they help prepare you for life. How to work with others, how to be a good teammate, how to work together to achieve goals.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I try to reciprocate that to our youth, but also I use that in my own personal life and experiences.
So you were truly focused then?
Oh,
Yeah. Hey, still to this day.
To this day.
All right, good stuff. You know, years ago we had you on the show. I mean, it's been a long time ago. We were actually the station was at the set was over that way, and you had a partner with you. I think you called him D-Train.
A-Train.
A-Train.
Yeah.
I know it's one of those trains.
Yeah.
So how's he doing?
He's doing great. You know, he's still part of our camp. You know, our basketball camp has been around 14 years.
Okay.
Every year, he still lives in New York City, but every year he comes in for the week to work with our kids and do some great things. So, I mean, not only has he had an excellent basketball career, but he's been a great role model to a lot of the youth here in our city.
Wonderful.
So I appreciate him and a number of people for coming in our city that week and working with our kids.
That's good stuff.
It was something I found out too, and I wasn't aware of. I mean, the Harlem Globetrotter. It's not just the one group of folks. You have people that are in different places, right?
Well, it's one organization,
But
but we have so many games that we split.
Oh, you split
to
them.
cover the entire world.
Okay, so you may not be somewhere else, somebody else is there, let's say A-Train, as an example. You may not be with the team with him.
Well, he's not a member of the Globetrotters.
Oh,
but-
he's not?
No.
Oh, okay.
But he played with the Globetrotters in the past. But
Okay.
But yeah, we may play in LA and New York City the same night. So I may not be in New York City because I'm in LA.
Okay, because somebody else, the other folks are playing in New York and you're playing in LA. That's what I'm saying. So you have that type of breakdown of
Yeah, and we're interchangeable, so I may have to fly out there or fly
back and forth. Okay.
Sure.
So how large is the roster there?
about 26 players.
About 26.
Okay.
Okay.
Fantastic.
All right.
Wow. Man, good stuff. And I mentioned even before we started, you know, interviewing here that people forget that Wilt Chamberlain used to be a Harlem Globetrotter. I'm talking about one of the greatest ball players of all time, you know.
Yeah,
he started
one of our
off with the Harlem
greats.
Globetrotters,
Yeah, one of our greats.
One of our greats, man, no question. And there have been others too. I can't, you know, say their name them all, but I know that there's been others that we didn't even know. Oh, that guy, he played with the Harlem Globetrotters one time, you know. Now, you've traveled all over the world, so give some ideas, some places that you've enjoyed. You know, you'd love to go back again. You know, I mean, you've seen parts of the world we've never seen, man.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to some beautiful places. Just this summer, I was in South Africa. I was in Argentina, Chile, Uruguay, Paraguay. I've been to Egypt. Got a chance to see the pyramids in Egypt. And got a chance to go to the top of the Eiffel Tower in Paris, walk the Great Wall of China. I've been to China 14 times.
14, wow.
I've been to Australia, which I really enjoyed, the beauty of it. So I've been all over the globe. So even been to a lot of historical places. I love history.
Yeah.
So even, of course, Rome and Israel, Jerusalem, and some of the parts of the Middle East that a lot of people haven't gone, from like Syria to Libya. I've been to a number of places.
What part of the world would you say the Globetrotters are most famous in, other than the United States?
Well, I think they get a positive reception there all over the world. You know, they've introduced basketball. In 1950, they introduced basketball to the whole globe.
Okay.
And you know, they have such a gigantic rapport all over the globe that they get such a well reception.
Okay.
Everywhere.
Why is it that the jokes still work, man? I mean, they were throwing that water and then the confetti thing. They've been doing that forever, and it still works.
Some things are timeless. So.
Yeah, it's timeless. But I did notice the last time I saw them, which is a number of years ago now, they were down in Hershey, and they had added some other things. I mean, little bobblehead guys with big things out there jumping around.
Well, I think the key is to stay current and fresh, but also keep some of the things that make it memorable.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been around for 90 years for a reason. So,
man, the ball on the string, it gets me every time. Man. Good stuff. So, you know, when you look at, you know, guys that were in the past, some of the, from our generation, have been the trailblazers. I mentioned Marcus Haynes. I mentioned guys like Meadowlark. Meadowlark, he passed, didn't he? He's not.
No, he's actually, he lives in Scottsdale, Arizona.
You got to be kidding.
Does evangelical work. I think he's in his 80s now.
Are you serious? Is that right? Okay. Have you met some of the older guys?
Yes, all the time. I'm actually great friends with a lot of them.
Wow.
We stay in great contact. It's a great fraternity of brothers that really that are still connected.
And most of the guys that are coming out of, you know, that play for the Globetrotters, they're former college ball players. Is that right?
Yeah, a lot of them played pro or college basketball.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Very good stuff, man. Good stuff. So a young person, you know, we always go to these schools, Chris, and we'll say, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" You know what they say, don't you? You want to be a basketball player, football player, you know, that kind of thing. What do you say to young people when you get a chance to talk to them? You're obviously a Harlem Globetrotter. They obviously have to admire you, want to be like you know, this kind of thing. So it's like, boom. But you know the other side of it, too. You know the business side, you know the educational side, you know the travel and all that entails, the whole 9 yards. So what do you say to encourage them to really make it, you know?
Well, for me, I never tried to kill anyone's dreams. Right. I mean, people all my life told me that I couldn't become a Globetrotter. Okay. Excuse me, and I became that. So I talked to them about 5 points. I talked to them about listening to their parents and teachers. I think that our parents and teachers try to lead us in the right direction. They made mistakes so that we don't have to. Right. So I teach kids that. I talk to them about staying in school and getting their education, of course. I think that's so important. No matter what goal you're going after, it's important to be educated. I think that not only will you do yourself justice, but our communities will be better with educated people in them. I taught the kids about staying away from drugs and being drug free. I think part of my success came because I was able to sustain away from drugs, and I've seen so many positive, great people succumb to drugs and not be able to attain their goals or dreams. I talked to them about believing in themselves and believing in their dreams. You know, if you don't believe in you, who else will? You have to believe in yourself and believe in your goal and believe that you can actually achieve those things. And I think that I've been able to do it because I actually believed in me. And lastly, it's sometimes taboo, but I also have a firm belief in God and what God has done in my life. So I teach others that too.
Fantastic. Great.
That's a nice lesson.
Yes,
most
indeed.
definitely.
We have this wonderful video. I can't even call the name of it now. Pat gets these spiritual cinema videos. And the one I show all the time because we run a fatherhood program. And it's a former Harlem Globetrotter. And I wish I could call his name right now. And he lived in Canada and he lived in Chicago. And he had these two families. And there's one son that you know, decided he wanted to do something about his father being a Harlem Globetrotter. And as he began to write the story and also shoot the video, he realized that he really didn't know his father in a lot of ways because his father, you know, and so then he had a half brother in Chicago, and those two grown men are now, they're grown, have their own families. So they wanted to talk about who is dad and what is dad, you know. It was powerful, man. And so they chronicle him. And he talks about how he loved the Harlem Globetrotters, you know, but never, he learned more in that than he did in university, you know what I mean, just by the travel and everything. He said, but it does sort of take you away from like family and some other things if you're not, you know, careful. How much of a toll is it for professional athletes like yourself to have to travel and to do all the things that you do and still try to maintain that other side, you know what I mean?
Well, that's probably the most difficult part about it. But one thing I think it makes you appreciate your family and friends and your community more. So, I mean, I think for me, you know, after a number of years, you learn to make it work as best as you can. You try to do as best as you can. But again, I think it strengthened my bonds with my friends, my family, my daughter, my community. You know, you do so much in all these other places. You're so obligated to help as many as you can in your own community. Try to uplift your own community. So I think it's been a positive for me.
Fantastic.
Now, do you have siblings?
I have one brother.
Just one brother?
Yeah.
I met him. I certainly
I was
did.
going to say
Now
the
that I
same
think
thing.
about
I
that.
thought it was you. I remember
Yeah, I saw
said,
him at the Rite Aid. And you introduced him.
Yeah, I
He's
didn't know him
older?
either, but I
Yeah, he's a year older.
Yeah.
He's a year older than you. Okay. Did he ever do ball or anything?
Well, he played football in high school, but you know, he's talented in a number of ways, but not basketball.
Not basketball. He didn't get the basketball gene.
No.
He didn't get that one.
But you know, that's another thing. But you developed your skills too. I mean, you actually decided that's what you wanted to do, and you stayed with it. Because a lot of people pick it up, and you know, but you actually stayed with it. I mean, you perfected the dribbling, you know, all the tricks and everything. That's called dedication. And a lot of guys, they had the skill, but they don't have the dedication. Am I right about it?
Yeah. That's I think that's key, and that's key in success. I mean, a lot of people want success, but they're not really willing to put in the work that it takes to get to become successful.
And it takes work.
It does.
That's why I look at these young kids in school even, and I'm saying to myself now, you're sitting here, you don't even listen to your teacher. You know, you're not paying attention in class, but you tell me you want to be this great basketball player. But you know, you can have a coach, right? And you can have a teammate. You know, you can't just get out there and do what you want to do. So they don't quite get that. So that's the kind of message I try to give them. You know, you gotta have that dedication, and you gotta be, you know, you have to be sure about this is what you really want to do. You know? And you gotta be coachable and teachable.
And, you know, I try to teach kids that at a young age, because it's already a uphill climb for you. It's a tough climb. So when you fall into a hole and you have to get up out of that hole and still climb that hill, it's difficult. So I try to reach kids before they make those mistakes. And the earlier you understand it, because you will realize it. But the sooner you realize it, the better. You don't want to realize it when you're 33. No. You rather realize it when you're 13. So.
That's right. I often think that pro athletes get a real bad bum rap. They don't understand the pressure you guys are under, like I said, with the travel, you know, just the whole financial thing. There's everything that goes on, right? Then everybody's pulling at you. I mean, I know you're gracious enough to come and do this interview, but I know you're thinking, man, I'm tired, man. Everybody's pulling at you. I know that. I see it out there in the, you know, in the community. But you handle it well. You do a great job. But what is the most, what is it that we, the general public, don't really appreciate about what athletes have to go through in order to be the entertainers that they are? Because that's what, you know, they're entertaining us. They're, you know, we're fighting for our team and all. And I always laugh with my friend. I always say, yeah, when's your team playing, man? He and I don't play on no team whatsoever, but we feel like, you know, I'm an Eagles fan. Like, Eagles don't know me. But you feel like that's your team. You're right out there with them. So people have these high expectations of you, but they don't really know what you go through. Am I right?
Well, it's definitely difficult being in the public eye at all times. You know, you have no downtime. You know, so I think athletes are human. You know, they make mistakes like everyone else. But I mean, I think they're held on a pedestal, and I think sometimes we forget that they're human. But I've always believed that to whom much is given, much is required.
Amen.
So for me, I embrace that. I love the fact that, you know, you're looked at as a positive role model. I think the fact that you are looked at in that way, I think you have an obligation to do your best to try to help as many as you can, try to touch as many lives in a positive way as you can, especially our youth.
Good stuff. That's what it's all about. And you do exemplify that. I mean, you really, you know, have been a great role model for that. I'm not just saying that because I know you. I'm saying that because I've seen you, you know. And I appreciate all that you do, man. Because the way you walk around and carry yourself has to be inspiring some of these young folks to say, man, I want to be like Chris. You know, there's that commercial, and I want to be like Mike, but no one ever meets Mike. You know, Mike's just on TV, you know. But we see Chris Franklin, he walk around here for real, and he's really a Harlem Globetrotter. That's fantastic stuff. And you have performed at Hershey, right?
Yeah, this is one of my favorites, coming home to the Giant Center.
Giant Center.
You know, so the kids get a chance to come down from Harrisburg and really see you on the court, out there doing your thing, man. And then you come into the community like, wow, you know, that's impressive stuff. You know, a lot of times people say, I'd rather see a sermon than hear a sermon. You know, right? You know, I hear what you say, but show me what you do, and you're doing it well. So, you know, you have other ventures, I know. You have other interests, let's put it that way, outside of just, you know, you work with the Globetrotters. What are some of the things you may be working on community-wise, just even long-term, you know, ideas you might have?
Well, you know, for me, I think a lot of times people tend to make athletes monolithic and they put you in this category. And I'm multifaceted. I mean, I love what I do as a Globetrotter and what that organization has been able to do for me.
Sure.
But I mean, in addition, there's a lot of things I like doing. I love working in the community. And I'm real excited about working on these playgrounds. And one thing about these playgrounds, we hope to honor different community leaders that didn't get enough fanfare, in my opinion. They didn't get enough acknowledgement. You know, they dedicated their lives to working with our kids. And it's important that it's known. So this first one is, we're excited about 4th and Emerald. Not only is it a playground, but the playground is dedicated to Coach Cam.
Oh man, you know, I was just thinking about him and you said it right. Come on, isn't that something? That's wonderful.
Yeah, so we have a mural being done in the middle of the court with his face and really making it's his playground, but really making it something that he would have been proud of.
Real quickly, I know we're going to run out of time, but give the viewers who don't know what Coach Cam stood for, who he is, who he was.
Well, he was lived in the uptown section of Harrisburg, but he dedicated his whole life to kids and working with kids. He stayed in the Y, and he touched not only my life, but a number of lives all throughout the city. And you know, he did it without any real recognition, in my opinion. I mean, he just stayed in that community doing some amazing things. So, you know, it's important that we honor that and try to pick up the reins where he left off.
That's right. And he gave tough love. I was hearing coach and everything, and he was trying to tell me, like, great guy, man, great guy. And even when he was very sick, he continued to go to that Y and work with those kids. You know?
And sometimes it's not how you teach, it's the fact that you're there.
That's right.
And the fact he never left.
You never left.
He never left.
And I really love that when he, you know, did go home, passed, that the Y honored him by having his body there in the gym. And then people came in to see him right in, you know, center court, so to speak. And that was really moving, you know. So that's great. I'm glad you guys are doing that, and especially in honoring, you know, his name, and, you know, remember that. So, so this is good stuff, man. I'm so glad you came back to the city, Chris, and did what you do, you know. And we'll be looking for you. Are you scheduled to come into Harrisburg again with the Globetrotters?
Yes, we actually, our schedule isn't out yet, and, but every year we'll be here.
Every year, fantastic. So, you know, we run out of time, but we were talking with Chris Franklin, who is from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, graduate of Susquehanna Township School District, and a Harlem Globetrotter, and even did a lot of work with Nike. Come on, man, you lived it, brother. And he's only 2 years old. I mean, this guy. Great stuff, Chris, great stuff. So, man, we hope to have you back again one day, just to, you know, kind of catch up again on some of the things you're doing. Best of luck to you. Best of luck to that playground. And thank you so much for watching this program. Support, you know, good people like Chris Franklin, who's in our community every single day. When they're here, they make a difference just by being here and by being the person that they are. So let us not always talk about the darkness and about the bad. Let's remember to lift up the good, and lifting up the good, don't forget to name Chris Franklin, Harlem Globetrotter from Harrisburg, PA. Remember, we're real proud of you. We're going to see you next time. Stay tuned here to Life Esteem. Goodbye.